A major winter storm is spreading snow, ice, and heavy rains from Texas to Virginia. We have the latest on the wildfires in California and your weekly forecast, all next at the Weather Farm. We have a significant winter storm that is making its way from Texas to Virginia, bringing heavy snow, ice, and rain to that part of the country. Out west, we are dealing with wildfires, destructive wildfires in parts of Southern California. And we look ahead to the week ahead. What changes will we see in our weather pattern? Let's dive right into our forecast. As we begin our Thursday, we see an area of low pressure centered around parts of Mexico. We see rain beginning to spread into central Texas, even some icing potentially near the Dallas area. This area of low pressure is going to move to the north and east. Across the eastern half of the United States, we see high pressure centered over the Kentucky and Tennessee border. This high pressure is bringing some of the coldest temperatures to the Ohio Valley, with temperatures falling to 10 degrees below zero. The northeast, we have some lake effect snow showers that are impacting parts of Vermont and New Hampshire. Across the Rockies, we see a little area of disturbed weather that's bringing light snow through the northern plains. A clipper system is making its way out of Manitoba into Ontario, bringing light snow 2 to 4 inches. We see light snow also for British Columbia, generally 2 to 4 inches. This is the leading edge of an atmospheric river that will make its way on shore later in the week. And out west, we see quiet conditions. As we move into our Friday, we see that atmospheric river now closer on shore, bringing heavy rain to the coast of British Columbia, Washington, and Oregon. Heavy mountain snows will continue. This energy will move across the Canadian provinces and become a clipper system that will in fact impact the northern plains later this week. But our main focus is with this area of low pressure that has made its way to near Louisiana. With it, heavy rain. We don't expect significant severe weather, though rumbles of thunder and lightning are possible. The main issue is going to be the ice and the heavy snow to areas of the country that are not accustomed to dealing with a lot of snow and how to travel in that. We could see snowfall rates in these darker blue areas of 1 to 2 inches per hour of snowfall for several hours as this system makes its way through Arkansas into Tennessee. This area of high pressure that is centered over West Virginia is a driving mechanism. Earlier in the week, we thought that this low pressure system would make its way up the coast and become a bomb cyclone, a nor'easter. This area of high pressure is going to help steer it towards Virginia and off the coast. So as we begin Thursday, we're going to see ice and rain and snow making its way across Texas into Thursday. By the time we get to Friday, that's making its way into Arkansas, rain for most of Louisiana and the southern half of Mississippi, but snow is going to make its way by the time we get to Friday afternoon into parts of Tennessee. And when we look at what's going to happen across parts of Texas, and this is where we could see some of the heaviest ice accumulations, we're going to look at Thursday afternoon. We see areas of ice northwest of Waco and near Tyler, Texas. And what's causing this phenomena? Well, this is a skew T diagram, and this is what we use to assess the different layers of the atmosphere. So we see that it is well saturated from about 300 millibars all the way down to the surface. At the surface, the red temperature tells us it's 31 degrees. The green temperature tells us the dew point is 31 degrees. We also see that zero right below it, and we see this diagonal lines that are attached to each of these numbers that are at the bottom. If you take any point along this line and you follow the diagonal down to the bottom row, that tells you the temperature at that particular level of the atmosphere. So we see that as snowflakes are beginning to fall and ice crystals, they form into the dendritic growth zone around 20,000 feet. We see them become bigger snowflakes. They fall, but then they get to about 800 millibars, about 3 miles above the surface. And we see that temperature there is slightly above 32 degrees, slightly above 0 Celsius. So we start to see melting happening. And melting is going to happen for a great part of its journey down towards the surface until it gets to about 925 millibars, about 3,000 feet above the surface. And when it gets there, then it encounters temperatures that are below freezing, especially at the surface. So it's going to fall as liquid precipitation, hit the surface, which is below freezing, and that's why we expect a significant icing event for this part of the country. So let's put our map into motion and watch this storm system. It's going to make its way out of Texas into Arkansas by Thursday evening. Snow will be falling across Little Rock, icing in the southwestern part, rain further south. By the time we get to our Friday, that snowfall is going to continue to make its way north and east, spreading into Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, eventually filling into Indiana, Kentucky. We're also going to see it across the northern parts of Mississippi, Alabama, to Georgia. Atlanta, you could be starting out with some ice Friday afternoon, changing to some snow. All that ice, rain, and snow is going to continue to make its way off to the East Coast by the time we get to our Saturday early morning. And by the time Saturday is finished, that system will be completely off the coast. In terms of snowfall, we will expect a wide swath of 5 to 10 inches from just north of Dallas through Arkansas into northern Mississippi and Alabama. We'll see a general 1/2 inch of ice just south of this heavy snow band across parts of Texas. So it's going to cause crippling travel conditions for most of Texas Thursday into Friday. In terms of liquid precipitation, a lot of this to the north in this blue is going to be snowfall, but as we get down towards southeastern Texas, south central Texas, down towards Brownsville and Houston, we could see widespread 1 to 2 inches, 2 to 4 inches closer to the coast and to parts of southwestern Louisiana. That heavy rain continues its path into Mississippi and far western parts of Alabama. We look at the Tennessee Valley, we continue to see that swath of heavy snow, 5 to 8 inches along parts of northwestern Alabama into southeastern Tennessee. Chattanooga, you could be at 4 inches. Nashville, you're just going to miss out on the heavier snow. You're going to be more in the 3 to 5 inches. Wide swath of 1 to 4 inches across parts of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky. And as this system makes its way towards the east, it's going to kind of lose a little bit of its steam, but it could still bring 3 to 6 inches across parts of southern Virginia by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. And after we get done with this snowfall, our attention turns to a quieter week of weather. So let's look at how the week will play out, starting with the storm through Texas on our Thursday. Here again, we have that area of low pressure. It's going to make its way north and east. We have the low clipper system making its way across Hudson Bay, across parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan. That atmospheric river is going to bring snow to the Rockies, and a low clipper system is going to develop out of it. It's going to dive across the northern Great Plains as we make our way into Sunday. High pressure is going to be in control after that for most of the United States. We're going to have generally quiet conditions. It is not until we get to the point about this time next week that we start to see a heavy rain swath from Texas, the Gulf, all the way up into Illinois, and then behind it, heavy snow. And we see a trough digging across the eastern third of the United States. This trough is going to bring some of the coldest weather that we have seen potentially in 10 years to the eastern third of the United States. In fact, one particular model has temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below seasonal norms all the way from North Dakota through Wisconsin and Minnesota, approaching 40 and 50 degrees below seasonal norms across parts of the Ohio Valley into West Virginia. And in this part of the country, 40 to 50 degrees below seasonal norms puts temperatures, by the time we get to Wednesday, January 22nd, in the early morning, somewhere around 15 to 20 degrees below zero. If you remember on our Wednesday video, we did talk about the ridging that is going on up across parts of Alaska, where temperatures are going to change by about 75 degrees over a 48-hour period. That extreme ridging up in Alaska is going to allow cold air then to make its way down across the Canadian prairies into the eastern half of the United States. In fact, from the Rockies all the way to the East Coast, we're going to see below normal temperatures. And even for the West Coast, temperatures are just a few degrees above seasonal norms. So as we get to that third week of January, we're going to see a widespread cold pattern for the lower 48. So when we look at our hazard maps, we have those winter weather advisories, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, all in effect by the pinks, the purples, and the blues. But out west, we have the reds, the red flag warnings for those high winds and extremely dry conditions. If we now look at the satellite map, the visible satellite from earlier on our Wednesday, we can see that plume of smoke from those fires in Southern California just outside Los Angeles. We see that plume of smoke moving in a southwesterly direction. And that's not normal. And the reason that this is happening is because we had an area of low pressure over southwestern Arizona. Winds around it are moving in a counterclockwise rotation. Up across parts of northern Nevada into far southern Idaho, we have a high pressure, about 1034 millibars. Winds around a high pressure move in a clockwise rotation. So when these winds are moving in a clockwise rotation, these are moving in a counterclockwise rotation, you get a funneling effect that happens where the two are meeting. And so we also have a mountain range outside of Los Angeles. If you ever travel that, we have the Mojave Desert, extremely dry area, relative humidity is 10–12% most of the time. So you get a funneling of winds, which increases the wind speed, coming across a desert, picking up very little moisture, going to the mountains, and then on the other side coming down the mountains. And when air comes down a mountainside, it compresses and it warms and it dries out. So air that had very little moisture to begin with is getting even drier as it comes down the other side of the mountains into the greater Los Angeles area. And so that is why it just takes the tiniest spark to ignite any kind of a fire in those conditions, and especially with winds approaching 100 miles per hour in speed in this area that we saw on Wednesday. So that's why we have that setup of extremely dry air, ignition source, and heavy winds that are continuing to fuel these fires. As of the time of the recording of this video, over 1,000 structures have been destroyed by the fires. They're 0% contained. 2 people have lost their lives. So our prayers and thoughts are with all of them and the firefighters that are fighting this terrible fire. Hopefully in the next 48 hours, winds will calm, this low will move, the high will move, conditions will lessen, and we can get this fire under control. Thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. We hope you found this video very informative. If you would, like and subscribe. Share this video with your family, your friends. Let them know where you get your weather information. We hope to see you again real soon.